Guys, I want to start off. I have a video that I want to show you, and I want to challenge you to try, and it's not this like weird intellectual video or anything. I just want to challenge you, try and keep up with just what's going on, and just think about what it is. And it's also kind of funny. So we're going to roll that video. All right, guys. How many of you were so offended in that last like 3/4-ish of that video? Because watching you guys was so funny because you went from laughing at it, talking about farts and bowel movements and all these things to it talking about IQs, and all of you dead silent, and a couple of you just shaking your heads like, how dare he tell me I'm stupid? But the truth is we all do this so often. And how many of you guys, when they were like, oh, you fart 14 times a day, you're like, that's an easy day. Are you kidding me? All you dudes, I know you are because I run a youth venture and it sucks sometimes. But the truth is that illusory superiority that this video talked about, all that means is having the illusion, being mistaken in thinking that you're better, you're above average, you're better than the average person that you're going to pass on the street. And that is something that I think every single person in here, myself included, struggle with constantly. And it's something that we especially see when it comes to Christianity. And I bring this up because when we look at America, the majority of people are Christians. That 213 million people in the United States, I think it was 2018 or 19, said they were a Christian. And the average American also cusses by 10:54 a.m. every day. The average American smokes weed at least once in their life. The average American is addicted to and watches porn on a regular basis. And the average American has never attended church. Does that sound like a Christian to any of you guys? No. Now, why do you guys think it is? I mean, this is rhetorical, but why do you think it is that so many people in America call themselves Christians, but that is the status quo that we see? You see, because when we look around, we don't have this like epic Christian nation that is fighting for God's belief and fighting for what the Bible says. We have a fallen, broken nation, and it's obvious. Right now, life is crazy, and you guys, for the most part, know exactly what I'm talking about. And so I want to ask you guys, because if we took a poll, I don't have a poll, of this group right here, right now, most of you would say you are a Christian. And I think if I went around and asked you and had a conversation, you really would call yourself a Christian. Most of you. But I want to ask, why? I want you to really think about the question, why are you, whatever your name might be, sitting in the seat right now, why are you a Christian? Think about that for a second. Because it's something that obviously in America is broken right now. And guys, I want to spend today answering that question. I want to answer, what does it really mean for us to be a Christian? What does it mean for you to really be a Christian? Because so many people just live life believing that just believing in God or just thinking the Bible is accurate or something like that is enough to make you a Christian. And today especially, that all you have to do to be something is say you are something. And guys, the first one that I want to hit, and the first like requirement of faith or the requirement of Christians, Anthony, thank you, is that you have to be baptized. And that one is tough for a lot of people, and it's one that for me when I first got saved was tough for a bit. But in 1 Corinthians it says, for by one Spirit we were all baptized into one body, whether Jews or Greeks, whether slaves or free, and we were all made to drink of one Spirit. And then in 1 Peter it says, corresponding to that, baptism now saves you. It is not the removal of dirt from the flesh, but an appeal to God for your good conscience through the resurrection of Christ. So guys, God takes baptism, literal getting dunked in water in front of a public audience or whatever you'd want to call them. He takes it very, very seriously. And I don't have how many of you guys in this room have been, parking lot, have been baptized. But the truth is, I hear all the time, one of the most common excuses I hear is, I don't want to get in front of people. How many of you guys, just think about that. How many of you have thought that thought, maybe before you got baptized? My hand is up because in junior high, I was like, I have to get in front of 1,000 people? That's embarrassing. How many of you guys have thought that before? Thought that I don't want to stand in front of this crowd and everyone's going to see me and my hair's going to get messed up and I'm going to look like a bum afterwards. But the truth is, that is the entire point of baptism. That back when we look at when the early church first started, that baptism was like, in a way, almost a death sentence, which I know I'm not doing a good job selling this to you guys right now. But what it meant was that if you got baptized, everyone in your town knew. Everyone, because what you would do is you would go down to the river, the most like popular and dense river that you could find, and you would be baptized in front of whoever happened to be there. And it was this thing that God designed because he didn't want us to deny him. That it's very hard to go back on that when everyone knows that you've been baptized. And that's the whole point of it. And I'm hitting this point hard because we have a baptism coming up. It's this Sunday. And I'm not talking about this because I don't want to guilt trip you guys into getting baptized. And if you don't call yourself a Christian, don't just get baptized because I'm telling you to. But if you have given your life to the Lord and you have called yourself a Christian and have not been baptized, I think this is a time for you to finally start thinking about it. Because in Acts 22 it says, now why do you delay? Get up and be baptized and wash away your sin. Guys, if we're going to call ourselves Christians, we have to be baptized. We just do. There's no way around it, and Matt just mentioned it earlier, that every Christian knows that if you want to be saved, you can't deny baptism. So I want to challenge you that if you haven't, if you're waiting, if you're nervous for some reason, come talk to me. Come talk to a mentor or another leader here. Go sign up in the back today with Allison. Because it is so crucial for Christians to be baptized. Now, also with Christians, and this is the one that we see most obviously why people aren't actually Christians. And it's that when you give your life to the Lord, it means that you are becoming more like Christ. I think most of you guys have heard this before because it's not revolutionary. But in Romans 12, it just says, and do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove what the will of God is, that which is good and acceptable and perfect. See, when we become a Christian, when you become a Christian, when anybody becomes a Christian, it starts to change every aspect of life. It starts to change the way that you talk. It starts to change the media that you consume, the way you spend your money, the clothes that you wear, the friends that you hang out with, maybe the school that you go to, what you do on a Tuesday night. It changes so much about what it means to be a Christian. And with that, sin decreases in life. And this is one of the biggest blessings that actually comes with becoming a Christian is God helps you fight against sin. And the truth is, I don't think most of you, and I'm sure there are some sins in your life that you're not going to say this is true, but for the most part, we don't want to sin. It's a natural desire, but for the most part, it's things that are dirty and they're gross and they're weird. And they've only become normalized because we've let them. But when you become a Christian, sin decreases in your life. And I don't mean it vanishes. I don't mean that you no longer struggle or that all of a sudden overnight it's just boom, you're holy Saint Mary or whatever you'd want to say. But the truth is that if you are going to call yourself a Christian, It means that you start fighting against sin. That you don't just let it fester in your life, that you bring up actual resistance against it. And that means talking to a mentor. That means finding accountability. That means putting blockers on whatever it might be, whether that's for music or something on your phone or with friends or in social situations. That's what it means to be a Christian. And the next one is that your public image shifts. Guys, that I'm going to push back against you right now. If you have become a Christian recently, take that however you want, and people think of you the same as you before you got saved and after you got saved, there is something wrong there. See, because God calls for us to be something different than that. There is an ant on my notes. But in Matthew 5, it says, "Let your light shine before men in such a way that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven." See, when you become a Christian, the goodness of God should shine out of your life. And that means shine brightly. That doesn't mean you have your little iPhone light out and you have a piece of paper in front of it that you then have a piece of cardboard in front of and you walk through school that way. It means that it is a spotlight shining out. And if people at your school have no clue that you are here on Tuesday nights, that you're going to church on Sundays, that you love the Lord, that you don't do things because of that, there is a serious issue there. And I want to challenge you guys, because this isn't the only case that God tells us that we need to shine brightly. It needs to be apparent. There shouldn't be question that you are a Christian. And part of that is because we live in victory. As Christians, we don't have to live stuck in sin. We don't have to live being fearful of every tiny little thing that goes wrong. We don't have to be stuck because of trauma from our past. That all of these things go away because we are allowed to live in victory. And in John 16, it says, "I have said these things to you, that in me you may have peace in the world." Peace. "In the world you will have tribulation. But take heart, for I have overcome the world." Guys, that part right there, "I have overcome the world." That is some of the gnarliest 6 words in the Bible. That means that we as Christians don't have to fear because God has defeated everything. That there is nothing left that he can stand against and have it push him back. That your sin has been defeated. That it has been paid for. And a lot of you guys, this is kind of where you need to start. That a lot of you guys, and I know that you don't call yourselves Christians, and where you start is just telling Christ that you want him. That's it. It starts right there, and a lot changes afterwards. But the truth is that we are all just dirty sinners right now. Until we have Christ in our life, and the Holy Spirit fills us, and we get baptized and die to ourselves. And a lot of you are stuck living in defeat because you have not accepted Christ. And we're going to have an opportunity for that later, and I want to challenge you to think about that. If you haven't given your life to the Lord and you're tired of living in sin, you're tired of being stuck where you are, you're tired of everything going wrong and it being the end of your world, I want to challenge you to think about if it's time for you to finally surrender your life. And guys, there are plenty of other areas that completely change when we become Christians. And these are just 4 quick ones or 5 quick ones, whatever it was, that are starting points. Because all of us have things, and myself included, and all the leaders here, and all you students here, we all have junk and dirt in our life. And we need Christ for that. We need someone that can come in that's stronger than it and more powerful than it. Because being a Christian isn't just following some rules. It isn't just calling yourself a Christian. It isn't just coming to church on Tuesdays and going to small group. That being a Christian means that you go out and you do something. You do a lot of things. And that's why all of these things that I'm talking about are all things that we have to go out and do. And a lot of you guys are just calling yourself a Christian and stopping there. And in Matthew 5:13, it says, "You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt has become tasteless, if you have become tasteless, how can you be made salty again? How can you be made useful and good and rich again?" It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot by men. And this is the part where it says, "You are the light of the world, a city set on a hill that cannot be hidden." That's what it means right there in those two verses to be a Christian. It means that you are something that goes out into this world and you change things. That you aren't just one of the average 213 million Christians in America that are doing nothing about that. It means that you are being bold. It means that you are standing for truth, that you are actually willing to change things in your life for that. And you guys know yourselves and you know what it is that you have to change. Because we are called to be a city that is set on a hill. We are called to be very, very obvious that Matt Foreman is a Christian. That Matt Leoki is a Christian. That Alexa Dueño is a Christian. That fill in the blank with your name is a Christian. And too many of you guys are living a life where no one else knows that. And that's not what God wants, and that's why we have such a broken and fallen world. Because we have those tasteless and useless Christians. I'm not calling you guys useless. But I want to invite the band back out here. Guys, it is so crucial for us to do something as Christians. Because it is not enough for you to just be here. It is not enough for you to just call yourself a Christian. Because God has plans for us. Even if you don't know it, God has a very specific and glorious plan for your life. And some of you guys know that, and you know how good it is. That us leaders, we understand how good it is to know what the Lord wants from us. Because everything in my life has changed because 8 years ago I decided to just commit to the Lord and do what He said. And a lot of you guys would say you've been Christians for maybe longer than that, but your life is the same. And we get lazy and we fall away in certain ways. We stop focusing on small details and just start looking at, I go to Tuesday night group. I go to small group. I go on Sundays. I say I'm a Christian. I have a Bible verse in my Instagram bio, headline, whatever it's called. And guys, tonight I have this board that Matt kicked earlier. I have some index cards and there's some pin things right here. I want to challenge you guys to write down something that you can do. Where you need to start. Some of you need to just give your life to the Lord. So, Lord, I am yours. Pin it to this thing. Some of you need to get baptized, so I'm going to get baptized. Pin it. I'm going to defeat this sin in my life. I'm going to stop hanging out with these friends. I'm going to defeat addiction in my life. I'm going to start showing people that I'm a Christian. And I'm asking you guys to put them up here because I want to pray for you. Because that's the glorious thing about being a Christian is you are not fighting this fight alone. That there might not be 213 million actual Christians, but there are a lot. And we are called to come alongside one another. So guys, I'm going to have leaders. They're going to be up here on the side areas. I want you to come write down, what do you need to do? What do you need to change? I want to ask you to get prayer for it. Maybe take the card to the leader, or pen it, and then walk over. And I'm not asking you guys to put your names on it unless you want to for some reason. But do you need to just give your life to him finally? Do you need to get baptized this Sunday? Do you need to allow him to defeat things in your life so you can live in victory? So guys, we're going to worship. And I want to invite you to come up, grab these right things, and get prayer up here on the sides.